Well, hello and good morning if you are in the US or in the East Coast time zone or Pacific time zone. And if you're across the world, it's your good evening wherever you are. And if you signed up for this, or even if you didn't and you're watching after, we are so glad you're here, which is my point. My name is Jennifer Barrish, and I am all things social media and marketing at the Astro College, aka the International Academy of Astrology. We are rebranding, we are relaunching with our new CEO, Luke Bailey, who is an Aussie over in Australia and is trying to bring the Astro College around the world and be a more global community so that we can all connect and grow together, which is just fantastic in my opinion. And I'm so excited to be a part of today's open house, which is a part of our well, we're down to 40 days, but we started at 60 days to relaunch, and we're having open houses about all different branches and types of astrology that is going to be available at Astro College. And so that you can also explore some different tools to put in your tool belt and some different techniques and some different ways to look at it. And today I'm so excited to introduce Aswin Subramanyan. Did I say that right, Aswin? I'm sure I butchered it with my country accent. Um, but I
All
think
good.
Aswin needs no introduction. He could just be a one name star like Cher. He is in his own right a excellent and amazing astrologer that I found just watching online content like this. So you should go and check out Aswin's work. But tell us, Aswin, what you do and tell us how to find you and all things about Jyotish. Take it away.
Thank you, Jennifer, for the introduction, and thanks everyone for joining wherever you are, and thank you, Luke Bailey, for finding me and asking me to do this, and thanks, Astro College. Um, my website is ashwinsubramanyan.com. That's where you can find me and a little bit of my work that I've gathered over a period of years. But Jyotish or Jyotisha is a common word for astronomy and astrology in Sanskrit, and it's literally called a science of light. Jyotish means science of light, but it is a common word for astronomy and astrology, which means in Indian tradition there is no differentiation between astronomy and astrology. There is no divorce of astronomy and astrology. Very similar to the ancient Western tradition until the Renaissance, or probably a little before that. And the difference or gap has also widened a little bit in Indian tradition as well, but that is much more during the modern times. However, astrology is still a very integral part of our daily life here in India. Um, to kind of give a summary of why it is still a part of daily life in India. Today morning, I had a client from India, and that person is a scientist, and her background is in biotechnology, and she's working with gynec cancer research, and I was really pleased to have someone who has contributed to the global health community as a scientist, but still has time for astrology. And I precisely asked her as to, when the entire scientific community is basically ridiculing astrology, what really prompted you to book a session with me? And she said, uh, it would be foolish of people to ridicule astrology, knowing that everything and anything has impact on the universe and Earth and our own being. As it is, we are part of this universe, and we also feel the impact. And she told it more from a causation perspective, and that is coming from a scientist. So, which itself is a very big optimistic sign for us astrologers to keep continuing our journey to contributing towards the astrological community, so that the generations tomorrow that come after us will have enough material because we have recorded the astrology of our times. And I think I am slowly trying to do my own contributions. Not that I'm doing something really new or something. I'm just delivering what I've learned as which is part of the 2000, 3000 year old history. And my mentor Sharon Knight says that there is no need of copyright for our work because we are just regurgitating what someone has already said 2000 years ago. So let's be humble and keep contributing to the community and keep growing astrology as a phenomenon together.
That's awesome.
My own introduction to astrology comes from my family itself because I have a very long-standing lineage of astrologers in my maternal familial tradition, which probably goes back to 350 years or so. And my grandfather and all his brothers knew astrology, and all my uncles know astrology. And some of my vivid memories of astrology is connected to my familial tradition itself. But it's a little intense. I don't know if I could say this here, but it's a little intense. But still, it's great genes. I basically dedicate all my learning to my family, my maternal family, and my lineage, and I try to honor that. And I want to pass on whatever I've learned to the global community. There are some real interesting techniques that's been developed over a period of years through my family itself, but it stayed within my family. As a result of so many hundreds of years of hard work of all those people, I think I'm reaping the benefits by going out to the international community and making it available for everyone. So I think I'm really privileged to have place in this family, and also to be accepted by the global astrological community, where everyone is inviting me or receiving my work with kindness and love. So I think I'm just grateful for everything that I have. But if you're okay, I can share that intense experience.
That's beautiful. I love that you're honoring your family, but we feel like the privileged ones to be able to experience. So I had a reading with you last year after listening to you on one of the other groups. I don't know. I'm a member of a lot of different astrological groups, and you were given a talk. And I felt like I've followed a lot of different traditions, and I've always had a deep respect for Jyotish. I know some of us say Vedic, but it's not really Vedic. It's called Jyotish, and I've had a thought about studying before, but there's a lot to it. And so we were kind of talking about that before we jumped on. There's so I would imagine that you have a remedy for some of that, trying to teach people because it's complex. But then you have this beautiful lineage that probably you started when you were young, I would say, probably just within the family, knowing little pieces and parts.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up listening to astrology, but my own interest started after when I was 19 or 20. And the fascination took over when I was really 21 or something. But my experiences and real stunning moments with astrology started when I was 12, 13, 14 or 15. That's when real memories stuck with me, and I was never really kind of coming out of it. And I think I just needed the right time to start working on studying astrology. And I was pretty much an astrologer of the oral tradition. Like people have conversations in the family, and that is how I learned. I could read charts even before I finished reading my first astrology book. So that is how. So my granduncle would come here. My granduncle would come here, and so many people would come in. Like in India, it's like everyone has this some kind of a small notepad where an astrologer writes the horoscope and a little bit of insights based on the planetary placements. And a note like this is part of everyone's life. Like everyone has a note which is called as astrology note. and charts are written by hand. So when people walk in, they carry a note like this, and an astrologer opens the book and starts delineating and reading the chart. So we don't have time for preparation. We don't have time to kind of sit and see what is going on. There is no printouts necessary. It's just like we have the chart, we have all the necessary information, birth information to understand and delineate the chart. So many people, my granduncle was really he was a very popular astrologer in his town, but he had clients everywhere. So many people, when he was here, so many people would come, like at least 6 or 7 people would come in a day. And I would just sit with him and watch what he's doing. And after a time, what he did was like, he did not think of anything. He just kind of gave, when someone walks in, he takes the note and he gives it to me and asks me to read without any help or support. And that is how I did my astrology. I read the charts, and all that experience was really important. Having a veteran who was a 72-year-old astrologer, having studied astrology from his 15 years, and probably having 65 years of experience as a practicing astrologer, and watching him observe what I do and taking guidance from him was probably the most gifted thing that anyone can have in today's world. So that is how I started learning and delivering client work. So it was way before I actually finished my first astrology book. And he always believed that astrology is a practical study. A book is only halfway through, but how we end up dealing with clients and how we end up using our intuitions in every chart, because every chart is unique, every human being is unique, and how we practice that art is really based on that particular time and moment, and how our intuition works, that is based on our knowledge, is the key. So that is how I learned. But after a while, I mean, we lived in different cities and different places, so it's not always easy for us to connect. So, and then after he would move away, and he comes back after a while, and he stays for a few days. And then in the meanwhile, I used to study the texts, like study texts and try to read few charts of my friends, relatives, and anyone who's coming to me. I ask them for their birth data, and I try to kind of do the work independently. And by 2014 and 15, my father passed away very untimely during the November of 2013. And after that, I got a little more time to spend with him. And that's when I really, took astrology very, very seriously. And I started writing articles on WordPress. And a few years later, I wrote a lot on Quora. I don't write anymore on Quora. And then I had my own website. And in 2017, there is a very interesting story which I've never told anyone except for those who read my newsletters. I used to write on Quora and also my WordPress blog, and I don't even know where that blog is at this point. But there was this anonymous person who did not want to reveal her name. She was from America, and she was going through a very horrible time, unfortunately. And she sent me an email asking if I could read her chart, but she said that she won't be able to pay at that point. And I looked at her chart, and I knew that she was going through something really challenging, and she was waiting for a surgery, and she did not even have enough money for surgery. But she just wanted to know if she could have the surgery at that point and if it is helpful for her. And I read her chart. I gave her my analysis. At that point, I used to write written chart reports because I did not have real good programs in astrology.
Sure.
I was not able to afford any professional astrology program. I was using a free program, and it was not really professional. So I was not really comfortable doing Skype sessions and sharing screens and all those things. It was not.
Sure.
So
Sure.
I prepared a template for myself and read some. I prepared a template, wrote for about 10 to 12 pages, and delivered a report. And I was doing all this for like $40 to $50 or something. And this woman asked me to tell her what was going on in her life, and I sent her a report. And after that, I didn't know what happened. She took the report and she thanked me, and we lost touch. And after a few months, I think 6, 7, probably 8 months later, she sent me an email saying that she had a surgery and it was a successful one, and her life had completely turned around, as I had mentioned in her report. And she wanted to pay me because she had some money at that point. But instead of paying me, she said that I know you're not having a professional astrology software. So if you could let me donate you a professional astrology software, would you take it? So I said, thank you so much. I would really appreciate that. And I chose one of the better programs, but also very affordable programs. The most affordable astrology program at that point was Kala Vedic Astrology Software, developed by astrologer Ernst Wilhelm. And since she did not pay me through PayPal because she wanted to maintain her anonymity for some reason, and I respected that. But I sent her the address, and she sent a check for $108 to Ernst Wilhelm. And another 2 days, I had a professional astrology software, and that is when my real online practice face to face began. Before that, I was only reading. I was delivering talks in person. Sessions in person. But the real international connection for me came out because of that particular client who very kindly donated me the software and basically launched my international astrological practice.
Wow.
So
That's
yeah,
some good karma there. You did some good karma work there, didn't you?
Possibly. I think I've always fallen in safe hands. I'm very grateful to so many people around me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow. So have you always practiced professionally
Yes.
since that point?
Yeah, I've always practiced professionally. Yeah, I've been doing, I did written readings from 2014, 15, even from 13 actually. So, but face to face real was from 2017 after I had this Kala.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So,
Since then I've been having stable practice.
Do you think that a person who starts to study, at a school like this one, what we're trying to do with open house is show people that they can use this as a real profession. It takes some time for the studying piece of it, but you're a testament to that. And so I guess what is your opinion about that, or advice that you might have to be able to give to people? And probably we have all different levels of astrologers here, from beginners to medium to been studying their whole life, and sometimes just as a hobby, but sometimes seeking something a little bit more like what you are also, trying to become more international and leaving your home base a bit. What do you know or say about that?
I've had a 14 to 15-year-old investment banking career, but I also had a parallel astrological practice, and I've been teaching for about 8 to 9 years. I quit my full-time job in May 2025, but by the time I already had around a decade of astrological practice.
Okay.
So, but the real question that you're asking is if someone can make this a full-time profession, and my answer is yes. Yes. And how long it will take, it depends on the person. So my suggestion, and I have around 35 to 36 students studying with me at this point in a 1-year program.
Wow.
So my way of teaching people is that I'm already pushing people to start doing client work. Like my batch 2 had begun in November, but I'm already pushing people to do client work with basic stuff as to what they know. And nakshatras, for example, nakshatras offer really important information. Nakshatras are lunar mansions, which offer really important hidden information, psychological layering that is not necessarily available just with the 12 zodiac signs. And the moment I finish nakshatras class, I always push my friends who are studying with me to start using whatever like 27 nakshatras, and you start doing 15-minute readings for $10, $15, or whatever it is, and that is how people learn. So it's really important to have a practical session. Doesn't matter how much we know, like take $5 but still do a session. Only talk about what you know, and it doesn't take much. Like for me, the goal with my course is to have someone start having a reasonably full-fledged practice within 1 year of study. So
wow.
but
Okay, cool.
it's and to make things a little more realistic, in 1 year they won't be able to use everything or substantially, but they'll be able to do a very basic reading, and they will be able to earn some income, and that is the most important thing. Like, astrology has to be a vocation, and for that we need to kind of create astrologers and give them the platform and the inspiration for them to kind of start their own practice. With every class, they have better knowledge, and with every assessment, their confidence grows, and that is how people start practicing. And to be able to start practicing, they need to have lived experience. So my own idea of the upcoming workshop, the weekend workshop based on the nakshatras, is to listen to stories of placements, some of the placements from some of the students. Because if three people talk about one nakshatras, apart from my own teaching, there will be three multi-layered teaching that people can take away, and that adds a lot more nuance, a confirmation of what I'm saying, but also the lived experience of 3 or 4 people for each and every nakshatras. 27 into 3, you understand how much people will take by the end of that class. So it's really important to have practical experience, practical chart reading experience. So that is always my focal point, to be able to help people to launch their practice.
Wow, that's a great. You don't usually hear that, or I haven't heard that. It's keep studying, and you have to be a real confident personality to be able to say, okay, take what I can. But even the basics, there's so much that you can look at, because you can focus just on sun, moon, and rising sign, which does change. But before I go down that direction, I wanted to bring up, if this audience doesn't know, that you are teaching at the Astro College. You've got a weekend intensive coming up on the 27th and 28th, right? March 28th and 29th.
29th.
So here shortly, in a couple of weeks, to be able to learn about the nakshatras, which would be a good place for jumping in the Jyotish conversation. Is that correct?
Perfect. Because to learn the nakshatras, one doesn't need to know Vedic astrology or Jyotish. Because even if someone is a practicing Western astrologer who uses the tropical zodiac, obviously we'll be using the sidereal zodiac for Jyotish class. Even someone using the tropical zodiac can most certainly use the nakshatras in their practice, because we'll be having 2-day classes, and by the end of 2 days they'll have enough information about the 27 nakshatras. And some people who actually believe in preparation for a client session will have the chart details of the client beforehand, so they can cast a tropical zodiac chart. They can print it out, and they can also have sidereal zodiac chart and print it out, and see some of the nakshatra placements and try to derive the meanings of those placements and talk a little bit about those as well. So on the one hand, it enhances their practice almost unbelievably to 30 to 40%, even for established Western astrologers who have a very flourishing practice, especially psychological astrologers or evolutionary tradition practitioners. will feel a lot of information is coming from nakshatras, because with the nakshatras we are dealing with a lot of psychological quotient or psychological apparatus of the person, and it gives some real straightforward pinpointable informations to the astrologer, so that they can use it in the practice and immediately get validations from the client, right? So the
Right.
feedback and the validations is very immediate. And I believe that for psychological astrology and a practitioner who uses psychological astrology in their practice, nakshatras will be a very, very important addition, because it adds so much value to their existing practice. Same way for evolutionary astrologers, and same way even for traditional astrologers who do Hellenistic and Persian tradition. So it's a most certainly it is a value addition for the people, and for those people who end up taking this course without knowing anything in astrology, you still know 27 stars and what those 27 stars mean.
Right.
And after that, they can just understand what the moon is and just talk about moon's nakshatras, and that will establish their foundation to a basic level. And we can let them feel that astrology bugs bite.
I know. So how I got into astrology was through the yogic path, and it was a part of our self study. And so when I started practicing those beginning, little baby readings that I was giving friends, it was to help them to get to know themselves better, help me to get to know them, and also like how to enhance our relationship, which is a psychological approach. But how I
Yeah.
can see coming into your class for my own use would be, oh, let me know about my family. Let me learn about my kids, let me see another deeper layer. And it has helped me so much with like my daughter when she was a teenager. She's an adult now and has her own daughter, and I'm a grandma. And but
Yeah.
when she was a teenager, like understanding her personality, and that's just how she flows. That's just how she vibes. And if you know a bit, so I have a lot of Virgo in my chart. Well, she has a lot of Pisces in her chart. We are a full moon to each other. We stand opposite in the sky, and I had to learn like she needs to swim. She has to. She
Yeah.
can't go by my rules. She can't go by all of my lists and all of my to-dos and the ways that I want her to be just like this. She's got to be wavy. And when I learned how to do that, it really changed our relationship. And it was me. I had to change. It wasn't her, it was me. And I learned
Yeah.
that I couldn't be that rigid and that fixed about things. So in the way that just astrology helped me with her, I'm so excited about this class because I want to learn about all the different ones and then apply it for my family and learn, about my kids, about my friends, and also the good things and the ways that we work together, but also where we might be, butting heads or not seeing eye to eye. Because I think that it's like wearing astrology in general is like putting on a new set of sunglasses, or like when you go
Yeah.
to the eye doctor and they have all the little ways. So you're
Mhm.
putting on your sunglasses and you're readjusting and you're getting a closer and closer view. And when I met you and we talked, I mean, you really changed some things for me. You really made me see another level, another layer, and I'll forever be grateful. Like I'm already like, okay, I need to book with Aswin again. And it was just
Thank
a few
you.
months ago to have that next step and to be able to see that next viewpoint. And for many people, they probably have not experienced this because there's this mystique or this feeling. And I had it myself. I shared with you, I tried to study Jyotish at one point. And so I'm a Sagittarius rising, people. If you know that, you're laughing. I have about 5 different things happening at one time. And it was hard for me to focus just on that path. And I've always thought it's too complex until I'm ready to just focus on one path. But it sounds like with some of your approaches that's okay, that a person can
It
come
does.
in. I mean, not that you don't need to focus, but just that it's okay to take a piece of it and start with that and use it in, like, I have Western astrology, use that in my Western astrology practice to be able to open up another viewpoint or another layer, peeling back the onion of getting to know my friends and family. And so, just like you described, that's how my practice has gotten bigger, as just as friends have told friends and people reach out to me, social media or whatever, and messenger, and say, hey, so and so told me about you, I want to do a reading. And so I look at this as another tool that I can offer as an astrologer to be able to say, hey, let's talk a little bit about your Jyotish. So let's talk a little bit. You probably don't know this information, and add that to my tool belt. So anyway, I'm really excited, as you can hear, about this class, and I know we're kind of rolling through the time, so I don't want to take up all your time, but I think probably many people can see that this is yet another way that we can explore the astrology and add more layers. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about your teaching? About, tell
Just
us.
two things.
Sure.
Sorry, just two things. Like, one is about the student-teacher relationship. I think the one that you beautifully explained. The astrology is more about student-teacher relationship, right? So online, it's slightly a little difficult, but it is important, and that is exactly why it is important for the two people to constantly be in touch, which enhances the studies. So that's one thing. And another thing is a little bit of a misconception about Indian astrology that I want to break here is some people have this idea that Jyotish is fatalistic, or people just say negative things.
Sure.
That's not what it is. Indian astrology is a real gift, just like any other form of astrology. I mean, I studied Hellenistic astrology, I studied Persian Islamic tradition, and I derive value from all those traditions. And I absolutely adore Greek philosophy and Islamic astrological tradition. And those traditions have only enhanced my practice. So I can be very confident about that. On the other hand, Jyotish is also going to enhance the practice, but we need to come out of that misconception that Jyotish is fatalistic. No. Jyotish can do evolutionary astrology. Jyotish can do psychological astrology. Jyotish can do predictive astrology. So it kind of encompasses everything that is there in an astrologer's toolkit.
Okay.
And the most important thing is philosophy. And because people don't understand or teach or study philosophy of India before going into astrology is why there is this misconception. But the philosophical Indian tradition itself says that it is an evolution, but not fate or free will. So the implication of Indian philosophical tradition is to transcend beyond the debate of fate and free will and accept that there is both fate and free will, which leads us towards a specific area called evolution, which I call as evolution. So that is where we are headed if we practice Jyotish and move beyond this debate of fate and free will. So Indian astrology is not fatalistic. It is astrologers who end up being fatalistic and say very, very outrageous things with a view to prove their prowess, and it is not the right approach. Indian astrology is today, people of my generation are really kind of taking up astrology with a view to give importance to counseling skills, and that is really taking shape. So that is something that I wanted to mention. But thank you so much for this opportunity, and I look forward to March 28th, 29th.
Absolutely. Well, tell us what else you have going on. Tell us where we can find you, Aswin. And I heard some smattering about UAC and through an email. I didn't know if you're speaking there or where else you might be speaking again soon.
I have not accepted much speaking slots this time, but I have a slot in UAC, but it is a pre-org event of OPA. So I am one of those panelists. So if everything goes well, I'll be traveling to the UAC. Apart from that, I'm teaching my own course and I'm writing. I'm getting ready to publish my first part of the course material as a book. So that is
wow.
there.
Amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I'm doing a PhD program, and my PhD is hopefully will end by the end of this year. If but yeah, my website is ashwinsubramanyan.com, and that is where people can find everything about me.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, well, we're going to be on the lookout for you, and I as well will be at UAC Aswin. So we got to find a way to connect and do some in real life conversation. But Zoom
Sure.
also at least offers us a way to meet because you're in India and I am in Ohio in the US. And then we have members from all over the world. So it's wonderful. And who knows where this is going to go once it gets on YouTube and so many different people seeing and viewing. And that's what I love about Astrologer, is trying to bring this international community together under one roof or one place where we can kind of like a marketplace where there can be an exchange of ideas and thoughts and bringing together different viewpoints. And I'm so thrilled that we have you here with Jyotish, and I can't wait. I'm planning, haven't enrolled yet, but I'm planning on being in your Nakshatra class, and so I'm interested to hear what else you're teaching next after that, which you're still thinking about. But I've always in my mind there are different astrologers I've thought that are people to keep an eye on, and I've got my goggles aligned to. I really like your style, and as we've talked, you made it just so like through a reading so simple and so understandable and clear. And I didn't find anything fatalistic at all. I really felt it like, okay, you have some choices here. And you can kind of take one road or the other road. Now, your astrology says you might benefit from taking this road versus that road, and that's something that you want to think about. Or at the time there's a planet, it was actually Jupiter was in retrograde, and you said what I would do is wait until March, whenever Jupiter comes out of retrograde and starts to move forward, and just take a pause if you can and think about things, and then think about growth from there. And we've talked about my teaching, because I also teach at college. I do astrology. I work with Sag Rising for sure. And I'm starting my own little yoga business and talking about dates and times. And we've got to have more conversation about that, because that's coming up for me. And yeah. So I'll reach out for sure, but I'll see you in the Nakshatra class, and I'm so excited. I would hope that other people will come and join me, and we will learn together and keep having this conversation. And it's through all of these different connections that we hold and lift each other up, I think, in a way, with all of some of the yucky stuff that's happening in the world. Astrology always makes me smile. So I love this language that we get to have, and you're just an added layer, what you bring to the table. So thank you for your time, and
thank you so much.
We will see you hopefully soon, maybe just in conversation aside from the Nakshatra class. And people now know how to reach Aswin. And I will put it in the notes as we publish this so that they can find you too. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Take care.